Bitcoin, and so far it's been able to function tax-free, but the Japanese government wants to change that.
Yeah, because Bitcoin isn't actually considered a currency, all these transactions that take place online have been able to go ahead without regulation and without paying taxes. But Japanese authorities are coming under pressure to change that, to crack down a little bit. This following the collapse of Mt. Gox, the Tokyo-based exchange that filed for bankruptcy last week. Now, a lot of countries have been trying to work out how to deal with Bitcoin. It's seen as a possible way to launder money or something that could be used as tax evasion. Russia, China, and Singapore have all taken action to either ban or regulate it. Now, Japan says that it may follow suit.
If we talk in general terms, it is common sense that the finance ministry should look into how to tax something which to sell and profit from.
One of the more mysterious aspects of the whole way Bitcoin has come to exist is that we don't know who created it, who's behind Bitcoin, but that may have changed.
Well, we thought it had, actually. We saw this cover story coming out from Newsweek here. You can see it's called Bitcoin's Face, the mystery man behind the cryptocurrency. And it names a man called Satoshi Nakamoto as the founder of Bitcoin. They say this former engineer founded it back in 2009. They tracked down this Japanese-American engineer. They said he lives just outside of Los Angeles. And you can see the man here. He actually found himself the center of media attention. Dozens of media outlets descended upon his house, and he surprised everyone by actually denying that he has anything to do with Bitcoin. He actually fled his home, followed by dozens of reporters in this sort of impromptu car chase through Los Angeles. So for the moment, as far as he's concerned at least, the mystery remains. We still don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto might be. This man says that it's certainly not him. He says he has nothing to do with Bitcoin. So we'll keep following that as Bitcoin, of course, continues to rise in controversy and popularity.
Let's look at some of the day's other business headlines.
Yeah, we're going to start out with the American supermarket chain Safeway, which has agreed to be bought by the Cerberus Capital Group in a deal valued at $9 billion. It'll create a grocery giant with more than 2,400 stores and 250,000 employees across the United States. The U.S. Justice Department has begun an antitrust investigation into a proposed telecoms merger. Cable giant Time Warner has launched a bid to buy the rival Comcast for $45 billion. If approved, it would see America's largest cable companies join forces. And Greece's banks need to raise an additional 6.4 billion euros in capital to deal with future crises. That's the assessment of the central bank after a series of stress tests to see if the country's major banks had enough cash to withstand future losses. Greece's biggest bank, Piraeus, meanwhile, is set to return to capital markets after a 5-year hiatus.
All right, Kate, let's look at how the markets are doing today.
We've seen some mixed trading in Asia there. Japan's Nikkei hit a 5-year high during the trading session, closing up nearly 1% there. The other major indices trailing a little bit in Asia. The markets have just opened here in Europe. We're seeing a mostly negative trend there, continuing on from Thursday. This after a decision by the European Central Bank to hold back on any further stimulus measures. We'll be keeping an eye out for a jobs report that's due out in the U.S. later this Friday.
You also wanted to look at the auto industry today. It's recovering a bit.
Yeah, at least that seems to be the sentiment at the Geneva Auto Fair. There seems to be a sense of rejuvenation among many of the firms there that are showing off their newest and latest models. Catherine Viette has the details.
It may look like the Batmobile, but this three-wheeled hybrid vehicle could be the face of the future. With sales in the EU rising consecutively for the past 5 months, automakers say they're optimistic. That's in stark contrast to last year, when European sales shrank 1.7% to 11 million vehicles, the worst since 1995. And the growth appears to be across the model range, from luxury to low-cost brands. Many manufacturers say they're betting heavily on electric cars. One of them is the new Quant Sport Limousine, a 912 horsepower electric car using flow cell electric powertrain. Celebrating its premiere at Geneva is the Fulu Meteor ET from China. The car is just 2.25 meters long and occupies 3.2 square meters in surface, a quarter less than most electric cars on the market. It retails for around €8,000. Volkswagen says their XL1 model is the most fuel-efficient car on the planet, able to get 313 miles to the gallon. Its TDI diesel engine is linked to an electric motor. While sales of electric vehicles are growing rapidly, they remain a tiny fraction of the global total.
And Kate, what's going on with this last story? Somebody's spying on Oreo cookies. That's
what it seems to be anyway. A jury in California has convicted 2 men of economic espionage. That's a very rare conviction. They've been accused and convicted of stealing an American company's patented recipe for a chemical which, among other things, whitens that creamy filling that we see inside of Oreo cookies. Now, the chemical in question is titanium dioxide. In addition to being used in those delicious Oreos, it's also used to whiten things like paper and paint. The men are said to have received nearly $20 million from a Chinese competitor selling them this secret recipe for that chemical. They could face at least 15 years in prison and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fines.
Look, it's difficult not to find this story amusing, but of course, as you point out, there's a lot of money involved here, real big business interests.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you very much. Kate Moody with the Business News, thanks. And let's move on to the International Press Review now. Florence Filmino